Hi everyone, my name is Jiahua. Today I'm presenting a paper entitled A Game-Theoretic Analysis of Cross-Chain Atomic Swaps with HTLCs. This is a joint work with Damien Ackerer from Covarial and Alevtina Dubovitskaya from Lucerne University of Applied Sciences and Arts. As a background, let's first understand what HTLC is. HTLC, or hash time block contract, was proposed firstly as a solution for blockchain interoperability problems. So imagine there are two agents, Alice and Bob. Alice has assets on chain A and Bob has assets on chain B. Note that those two chains are public blockchains. So Alice wants to swap assets on chain A with Bob's assets on chain B. What can they do? Conventionally, they can resort to centralized exchange such as Binance or Kraken. What if Alice and Bob want to conduct this exchange in a completely trustless fashion without any help from any trusted third party? Well, one solution is to use HTLC. With HTLC, Alice first generates a secret, which will later then be used to unlock assets on both chains. So after generating the secret, Alice deploys a contract that holds her assets on chain A. This contract has a time lock with a deadline of TA. Before TA, if the secret generated is revealed to the smart contract, the smart contract will automatically transfer Alice's assets to Bob's wallet, which is also located on chain A. However, if by the deadline TA, no secret is entered into the smart contract, then the smart contract will automatically transfer the assets back to Alice's wallet. So at the second step, Bob verifies that this publicly deployed smart contract on chain A is in order. And then Bob uses the hash of Alice's secret to deploy a very similar contract on chain B, which also has a time lock TB on chain B. After Bob's deployment of his smart contract on chain B, Alice will verify that everything is in order and then uses the secret that she generated at the very beginning to unlock the assets on chain B. And as soon as she does that, the secret will be revealed in the mempool of chain B. And when Bob sees that secret, Bob will use that secret to unlock the smart contract on chain A, which will trigger the transfer of assets from the smart contract on chain A to Bob's own wallet. For simplification purposes, and also intuitively, we can safely assume that there is zero waiting time for decision making. This is because both agents would have the incentive to minimize the time of assets being locked, in which case we'll be able to precisely quantify the timeline using the transaction confirmation time on chain A and chain B, as well as the time needed for a transaction to enter the mempool. As the math can get quickly convoluted, we further make the following assumptions without loss of generality. Specifically, we assume that block time is constant and that transaction fee is negligible relative to transaction volume. We also use token A as the denominating currency and assume that token B price denominated by token A follows Brownian motion. We'll also assume that agents are fully rational and they have the same parametric utility function. The utility is derived from the expected time discounted value of the assets that they hold in the end. Additionally, they also have a success premium denoted by A, and S is the success indicator, which means that if the swap is in the end successful, then the agent will derive extra utility from the success of getting the swap completed. In our framework, we use backward induction. We know that as soon as Alice reveals the secret on chain B, then there's no incentive for Bob not to use the secret to unlock the asset on chain A, because if he does not do so, he would end up with nothing. So there is no ambiguity there. So in the backwards induction, the first decision-making point is at T3, when Alice decides whether to use the secret to unlock one token B on chain B or not. If Alice chooses to continue with the swap, she will have an expected utility that goes as the green line. And if she chooses to stop, then at the end of the day, she would get token A back from chain A. So if she stops, then she would have a pretty much fixed expected utility that goes as the black line. So we show that there is a minimum price that token B has to reach at T3. If the price of token B is extremely small, let's say close to zero, then there's no incentive for Alice to unlock token B because she would pretty much be better off by retaining token A on chain A, so she would withdraw. Now, at T2, Bob now needs to decide whether he would continue with the game by using the hash of the secret that Alice generated to lock token B on chain B, or if he should just run away and do nothing. If Bob stops, then he would end up with the one token B that he retains. However, if Bob continues, he will have a expected utility as the green curve. If the price of token B is extremely small, then Bob would understand that In the next step, there is extremely low likelihood that Alice would continue with the game. So he might just not bother, so not continue with the game at all, because he anticipates that Alice will not honor the contract. On the other side, if the price of token B is extremely high, then there should be no incentive for Bob to continue with the game because he would be better off retaining his original asset. So we show that there is a range of feasible token B price.
Now at T1, which is the beginning of the game, Alice needs to decide whether to initiate the game or not. Now, the price of token B is known at this point. However, Alice needs to consider whether the exchange rate is reasonable or not. Now, we show that apparently if the exchange rate is extremely high, which means that Alice needs to lock in a lot of token A in return for one token B, she might not be happy. So when the exchange rate P star is very high, the game will not be started. On the other side, if the exchange rate is extremely low, although Alice will be happy because she might be able to receive one token B for only a little bit of token A. However, she has to factor in the possibility that later on Bob might withdraw from the game if she's too stingy at the beginning. So if the exchange rate P star is too low, the game will not be feasible for Alice either. So that again, there is a range for the feasible exchange rate as shown in the graph. We further studied two model extensions. First of all, we investigate whether the inclusion of collateral would increase HTLC success rate. We find that the higher the collateral we require, the higher success rate. A second extension that we look into is to use flexible exchange rate. So in the basic setup, we assume that at T0, the exchange rate 1 token B against P token A is decided, and agents cannot deviate from this exchange rate during the game. They can withdraw, but they cannot change the exchange rate. In this extension, we allow the agent to deviate from this exchange rate. This surprisingly enhances the success rate. Intuitively, this is because an arbitrarily fixed exchange rate removes the flexibility for agents after the start of the game to dynamically adjust their commitment based on the latest market condition, and in our particular case, the price of the token. So what do we learn from this study? Well, to the best of our knowledge, we are the first to demonstrate that both transacting counterparties can rationally decide to withdraw from the game or continue with the game at different times, whereas prior studies only considered the possibility that Alice might withdraw from the game at the very end, deciding not to reveal the secret. But we show that Bob has the power to walk away as well. With our two extensions, we show that cross-ledger swaps can benefit from use of disciplinary mechanisms, such as collateral deposit. We also show that allowing agents to dynamically adjust their swap amount can actually increase the success rate. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much.